Warm greetings to everyone present. I'm Niharika Dev Chaudhary, and I'll be your host for today's session. At the very outset, thank you for joining us in today's virtual Startup Bootcamp presented by NRL iDEATION in association with Institutions Innovation Council, Tezpur University. The Institutions Innovation Council, Tezpur University, under MHRD's initiative, was formed in 2019, and its main objective is to promote specialized knowledge in the field of entrepreneurship. IIC guides and encourages students to present their ideas and helps these ideas to actualize. Now, before I start, I'd like to make an announcement here. It is to be noted that certificates will be provided to only those who will be filling up the feedback form and will be sharing the form at the end of this event in the chat box. And the link for the form will expire by 12:30 p.m. Now, I'd like to request Professor Manoj Hazarika sir, Head of Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship, to deliver the welcome address. Sir?
A very good morning and warm welcome to all. I am hopeful that I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
A very good morning and warm welcome. In fact, it is our pleasure that we have got this opportunity to organize this virtual Startup Bootcamp from the Numaligarh Refinery Limited for the benefit of our innovative minds from the university and around. I take this opportunity to welcome you all for this auspicious occasion. As our Niharika has already stated, that we have got this Institutional Innovation Council, where actually our student coordinators and members and faculty mentors work together for promoting an ambience of innovative activities. And the team from the Center for Innovation, Incubation and Entrepreneurship, CII, we work together with this team of IIC. Just to exactly appraise the house, that I think we can take pride that in the last 5 years from the university of our students' own initiatives as well as institutional support, our students have achieved few good achievements, which includes prestigious GIT awards for 3 consecutive years in the year 2017, 2018, and 2019, and also in this year of 2021, one student selected. At the same time, we have got support system which includes this IPR cell, and the number of patents in past 5 years have been like 25 applied, patents published 18, granted patents 14, and granted copyrights 3, and designs 2 that is already applied. Now, to take this activity further, we are having some initiatives which includes adoption of the Ministry of Education's National Innovation and Startup Policy, NISP. And under this, we are having some few activities that we are going to establish one, or in the process of establishing a pre-incubation facility at the said building. And another initiative is that we are going to working towards developing a Section 8 company which will be working as a business incubation center for the benefits of the students, researchers, and other stakeholders. So other initiatives or other support system that is in place is support from NRDC for promoting homegrown technologies, and the DST supported Technology Enabling Center, and within the university itself, actually, we are developing a Center for University Industry Interaction that is also going to work along with industries so that our students will be getting benefit of interacting with industries as well as working towards life problems that is there at the industries. And some supports have been given by this university in past 2 years in the tune of, let us say, around 2 crore to our innovative minds, which comprises of research scholars and tech students and QB tech students as well. So now with these initiatives, actually we are hoping that in future we'll be able to have a more vibrant ambience for innovation. Now on this occasion, we, on behalf of Tezpur University and this IIC, we heartily welcome the team from Numaligarh Refinery Limited, comprising of Sri Pranto Protim Singha, a senior manager from corporate planning, Sri Abhijit Pegu, officer from corporate planning, who will be enlightening our students with the provisions that is there at the edges of Numaligarh Refinery Limited for the innovative minds. And joining them will be Mr. Professor Salman Chaudhary, the founder of Vigitrix Private Limited, and who will be sharing his experience and will be interacting with our students. I welcome all our student participants and our active IIC members to take benefit from this interaction. We are looking forward that in future we'll be able to take this initiative further, and we'll be able to facilitate our young innovators with live problems from industries to work on and contribute to the overall growth of the nation. So with these words, I once again welcome all to this gathering, to this occasion, and I wish a fruitful interactive session to follow. Now I hand over to Ms. Niharika.
Thank you, sir. We have with us now Mr. Prayash Borwa, sir, in charge of Tezpur University. Sir, I would like to request you to kindly brief the audience about the event.
Thank you, Niharika. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, sir, for giving a wonderful introduction about the activities that are being undertaken at Tezpur University. At the very outset, to all the participants joining the Google Meet as well as watching us live on YouTube, I'd like to thank you for your participation in today's meet, Startup Bootcamp. And at the very outset, I'd like to express my gratitude to Numaligarh Refinery Limited, and more specifically, the team from NRL. We have Sri Pranto Protim Sinha and Sri Abhijit Pegu, as well as our very own alumnus, Sri Salman Chaudhary, for initiating this innovative and creative mindset thinking workshop, which definitely is going to help our students a lot. And talking about today's event, so it's going to be a short program wherein we would be having the chiseled inputs from Sri Pranto and Sri Abhijit, basically on different aspects of startups as well as on funding opportunities, particularly from the perspective of NRL as well. And we'd be having a final validation, I must say, from our very own alumnus, Parvesh, who has gone through the road, and he probably would be able to throw some light on the various aspects, challenges, and requirements, particularly when we are talking about starting a startup journey. Budding aspirants who want to start up on their own, and we here at Tezpur University would like to encourage each one such idea that comes from amongst even today as the culmination of today's workshop, if even if one idea comes from this boot camp, we'd be really happy to support everyone. And I'd request in the question answer session as well to be interactive and to clarify whatever queries you have for this particular boot camp. With this, again, I would like to thank university administration as well for their support in for this particular workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Kickstarting the event, we have Shri Prantapratim Singha, Senior Manager Corporate Planning at NRL. Singha sir has been associated with the oil and gas industry for over 2 decades now. He has handled various roles including corporate planning, strategy, venture capital funding, among many others. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Niharika. Kind introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you. Thank you, Niharika, once again for such a kind introduction. And respected Manoj Hajarika, sir, and Mr. Prayash, Head of CIIE, and other faculty members present here, and my dear student participants present in this webinar. First of all, on behalf of NRL and NRL iDEATION, our sincere thanks to Tezpur University and Center of Innovation for giving us this opportunity to speak about our startup funding program, NRL iDEATION. While my colleague will take you through a presentation, which will give a brief about what we do as part of the funding program and what we have done so far. I will just speak about some of the essential topics about startups. Those are very light topics, and I will only spend about 5 minutes of time on that. Before going ahead with my presentation, I would like to congratulate Tezpur University for the 3rd consecutive GAITI Awards, which Manoj Hajarika sir has mentioned, which is a great achievement in itself, at the number of patents and copyrights that is I think unbelievable for any university from Northeast, which is a great achievement. Congratulations for that. Now, moving on, I think we also have Mr. Farvez, who is a startup founder supported by NRL iDEATION. He's going to speak about us. I think I have also seen Professor Soumik Roy, who is also part of the startup, a mentor in the startup called Visitrix. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. Yeah.
Yes. Good morning. And before we move on, my one request to all the participants, if they can switch on their videos so that we can take a snap of the screen, so that we will keep that in our archive, if that is possible for all. It's thank you so much. I think this is great to see so many participants joining this event. Excellent. I think I would like to see Mr. Prayas also. Thank you. So I hope we have taken the snaps, Mr. Vijit.
Yes, sir. We have taken this.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. So I will now talk about some of the essential topics that we need to understand when we start a startup business. So I will try to share my presentation here. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you. So basically, I will talk about some of the essential topics that we need to understand as a startup, but I'm sure my colleague, Mr. Abhijit Pegu, has another presentation which will be more interesting. And finally, what Mr. Farbez is going to speak about his journey as a startup will be even more exciting. So just to begin with, let's start with this. Whenever somebody starts anything on this line, you need to understand that you have to have a good understanding about the markets. Whatever product or service you make, it has to have some kind of market. You need to understand the size and scale of the market. Then you need to see whether there is adequate demand for your product, whether your solution is actually solving a problem in the market, and what are the competition that you already have in the market, or what can be a future competition. What is your unique selling point, and what kind of value you are proposing to your customers. Once you have assessed these market dynamics, you need to make the profitability projections for yourself, for your startup business. Ideally, it's better to have a 5-year profit and loss projection, where you need to make certain revenue assumptions, including cost assumptions, and then you should also take care of the growth assumptions that for your business for next 5 years. Then you need to understand what kind of capital requirement you need, the capital expenditure of operating expenditure. Then you need to have enough money to run your business for at least 18 months. So that's one of the, that's some kind of a thumb rule that the startup world, it is used. So usually startups need a lot of cash to burn for marketing, advertising, product development. So you need to have enough money for that. When you approach an investor for some funding, you need to have a very solid business plan. And that business plan should essentially have the team members, the founders and co-founder details. Then how you are going to do the business. There is at least the steps to set up the business, at least one full sales cycle from product development to completing one sales cycle. Then you should also mention in the business plan where you are going to conduct the business from, how you are going to conduct it, and then your go-to-market strategy, which investors, look forward to assess your idea. Then you need to have a risk analysis included in your business plan. And finally, you should have an executive summary of all of this, so that, and if whenever you approach an investor, in the minimum possible time, you can, give a brief about your business. Then there is a value. I think value, we will, once you start your journey as a startup, you will understand more about what is value in a startup. What is your founder's equity, valuation, investors, and equity dilution, all these topics. I think for today, I don't know if you are a startup, you probably know all these things. But if you're just about to start your startup business, it's not it's not essential to learn these terms immediately. Maybe you will have more time later on. But then one of the very discouraging fact about startups is that most of the startups fail within the first 5 years itself. Statistically speaking, almost 90%. There are several reasons for this. Experts have given several reasons for failures of startups. I have put them in 5 different baskets. There can be strategic issues why startups fail, internal operational issues, management issues, and external issues, and sometimes financial issues. Most of the time, financial issues, to be precise. In the strategic issues, what happens is that we may have a great idea, or we have a great product for us, but there is actually no market at all. Product is maybe we have developed a product, but we didn't do the market analysis, and there is no market. So eventually, you cannot do your business. You cannot sell your product. Sometimes you do not have the right team with you, to go along in your journey. Sometimes your product may be good, there may be market, but it is not user friendly. Good idea, bad business is another example. There can be legal challenges in your business, then lack of passion from the founders, then sometimes the investor may be not interested in your idea. That can be another reason, but you can hardly do anything about that. I mean, of course, you can pivot from some of these failures and probably do something new. Then there are certain sector issues also, like for example, in the music industry, there are a lot of copyright issues. So those can be very difficult to, address. Some internal operational issues like cost pricing and poor marketing, ignoring the customer. These are some of the reasons. Then coming to management issues, burnout is often seen in startups. They often, startup founders burn themselves out in the initial years. Sometimes they lose focus of what they were originally trying to do. Once they get to see a lot of customers, a few customers, few investors, and in between among all these things, they lose focus of what they are trying to do. There are sometimes disharmony among team members and investors, sometimes team within the team member, and sometimes between team and investors. It doesn't gel well. So that can be one reason for failure. Then in external issues, we have, competition, product mistiming, and failed geographic expansion. And of course, lastly, financial issues. You don't have money, so you cannot do your business. That is one of the reasons why we cannot progress. But that's why we are here, NRL iDEATION. We are here to give you grant funding, as Mr. Abhijit Pegu will speak about that. So this is, at least we are trying to solve this problem. So if you have any startup idea, I'll request you to apply to NRL, and we will see how we can help you. So this is all I have to say. Thank you so much for inviting us. Now I hand over to Ms. Niharika once again. Over to you, Niharika. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your informative words. Now we have Shri Abhijit Pegu, Officer Corporate Planning at NRL. Pegu sir has been associated with many companies like Accenture and KPMG India prior to working in NRL. We are excited to have you here with us, sir.
Thank you, Niharika, and thank you all the faculty members present, and thank you, Pranto sir, for sharing with our future entrepreneurs on what to do, and especially on what not to do, which is equally important. So I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, great. So without further ado, I have three things. First, I will share a link. It's a link to a quiz. I would request the audience or the participants to just go through the quiz link and attempt the questions. This is a set of 20 questions. You can go through it. And second, I have a short audio video, which I'll play, highlighting the journey of NRL iDEATION so far. And third, I'll present a small deck comprising of what NRL iDEATION is all about and how you can apply for grant funding as well as equity funding in future. So let me first share the link to the quiz. Yes, I have shared the link. So now I'd like to share my screen. Just let me know if the audio of the video which I'm playing is coming through. Is the audio coming through?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, great. So that was a short audio video on NRL ideation journey. So we come to our today's main deck, which I've prepared. So welcome all to NRL's flagship startup support system for Northeast India, that is NRL iDEATION, where we make your dreams come true or live. So we are organizing this bootcamp with Tezpur University in association with IIC, EU, and CIIE. So our vision is to become a key player in the startup support systems in Northeast India. This is in line with the Government of India's flagship action plan on Startup India. And we had launched this program in 2017 with a mission to give a robust platform for the startups in Northeast to give incubation, mentoring, as well as, most importantly, financing through grant funding. And we stress on the concept of original thinking while we accept applications and select startups. So a quick, understanding of where ideation comes into the picture is if we can see the life of an entrepreneur and where NRL fits in. So there's an interesting slide which I had found yesterday through one of our startup partners. Says that usually entrepreneurs have this life cycle where initially they start with, this is the best idea ever, we had a team finds, it'll be fun. Then they slowly understand the market and they think it's harder than they initially thought. Then they eventually find out there is a lot of work they need to do to make the idea feasible. And then when they wait for some time, they see there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of financing required, there's a lot of work to be done. And usually what happens is, in due course in time, they suffer from a thing called the dark swamp of despair, where they have put in all their money, whatever bootstrap they had, they raise funds from friends and family, they approach the market, but still it's not working. So here comes ideation, where we act as a bridge so that we can help you across the dark swamp of despair. It's also called the valley of death, where usually 90% of startups die because of lack of mentorship, lack of networking, lack of infrastructure, or at times lack of passion. So we are here as a bridge to take it on, to cross over this valley of death, so that you can, just keep on working and without losing enthusiasm. And we give the necessary support to get you build your minimum viable product, or the MVP, and you finally discover that yes, it is doable, and you find your first clients, you find the first market, and thereon it's a successful journey of an entrepreneur. So NRL wants to make the entrepreneurs as successful as possible. So recognizing this need, we have come up with almost 34 startups which we have selected, which are in various stages. They are in proof of concept to scale up, and we are sector agnostic. We fund agri and allied. We have funded software as a service. We have funded IT, e-waste startups. We have funded almost in all sectors. And this is a 10 crore fund which was set up in 2017, and funding is done by way of grant. So far we have disbursed 7.6 crores and as a committed fund, and 5.26 already disbursed. So this is a small chart representing the growth of the number of startups which we have funded since inception. And similarly, this is a step chart which shows the number of startups growing every year. And this is the distribution of startups in various sectors. There is tea, there's software, there's automobile, there's agri and allied, there's education, e-waste, health, including industrial technology. And agri allied being the highest number of startups we support in the sector. Now coming to the moot point, which is the operating model. So startups can apply in our portal, www.ideation.nrl.co.in. It's a dedicated portal which is open 24/7 around the year, and proposals are screened every quarter, which is 4 times a year. And it consists of an independent jury committee, which they come from various sectors or diverse areas. Like we can mention, they had the startup missions of other states, advanced states of the country. We also have Assam Startup Mission representative on the panel. We also have important stakeholders of the venture capital community and their representative. Also, we have representative from the private sectors, including NRL officials. So present funding model is grant, and by the way, we are very going to start equity funding as well, which I'll cover in the later slide. So we have tie-ups with a lot of institutions like TIC, IIT Guwahati. We have signed MOUs with IIT Bombay. We have signed up MOUs with Guwahati Biotech Park. Also, we have Atal Incubation Center, Sikkim University, SMU. We also are organizing a lot of boot camps in various advanced or higher education institutions. For example, that is why we have come here today to Tezpur University to spread the awareness of entrepreneurs support systems like NRL, which budding entrepreneurs can leverage to start their ideas. So this is a small snapshot highlighting the performance of the startups which NRL iDEATION has given grant to in the last 4 years. So we have almost funded 34 startups. The total committed fund is 7.26 crores, and we have disbursed already 5.17 crores out of the money. And if you take this funding as an input, so what we have been able to achieve is the output, which we have measured, that subsequent funding that these startups which had funded had gone in the market and raised external funding from like Mumbai Angels or other private equity venture companies is around 40 crores. And the revenue generated by the startups combined is around 51.17 crores annually. And they have been able to generate almost 396 direct employment and 5,000 plus indirect employment. And if we come to measure the intellectual rights that they've generated, two have already received the patents and 7 are pending. They applied for. So this is the road ahead, which I was talking earlier. This is the future of our funding NRL iDEATION scheme, which is we have around 30 crores of corpus we have created for equity investment startups. This is in line with SEBI Alternative Investment Fund Regulation 2012, where we invest equity in startups. For example, as you can see, we are establishing a trust by which we will fund the startups. You can see startup 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and we fund them initially in return for equity. And when the startups grow big, they become matured, then we'll return the equity in lieu for money. So that's how the trust has become sustainable. And there is a fund manager who will manage the fund, and NRL will be a key investor. So thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your patience. So with this, I would like to end my presentation, and I request all of you to visit this website, www.ideation.nrl.co.in, and also if you have any queries, you can send us an email of idea@nrl.co.in. So thank you so much. Over to you, Niharika.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we have our next speaker with us, the founder of Vigitrix Private Limited, Mr. Parvesh Salman Chaudhary.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Niharika. Good morning, everyone. First of all, a special thanks to Tezpur University ISC and NRL iDEATION team for organizing this bootcamp. And I believe this bootcamp is definitely going to help the aspiring entrepreneurs. And I hope we can get some value out of this bootcamp. So I'm Parvesh. Okay, let me first share my presentation. So is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
So I'm Parvesh Salman Chaudhary, the co-founder of Vigitrix Private Limited. I'm also a researcher in Department of IIIT Guwahati. First, let me introduce you to Vigitrix. Who are we? So Vigitrix Private Limited is a tech company working on building a safety device for automobile. So we were incorporated in July 2019 under Companies Act 2013. And we are currently incubated in IIT Guwahati Technology Incubation Center, TIC. So we were the finalist of NRL 2017, one of the finalists, and one of the winners, and we got funding in iDEATION 2018. So we thank the NRL for coming up with this entity, iDEATION, for giving us funding and to help all the entrepreneurs who are aspiring, and especially the students who have some ideas or projects. But what happens with this was my MTech project, which we applied for iDEATION. What happens is it ends after we get the degree. So things like iDEATION is it shows us the way, to carry on our, the projects and what we have been doing. Okay, so this is our team. So we have 4 directors, and we have 1 employee, and we have 2 interns. So the one thing which is common among all of us is that we are all from Tezpur University. So Professor Shomik Roy is professor and head of the department in Department of Electrical Engineering, Tezpur University. Satyabar is a PhD candidate from Department of ECE. I and Mausumi did our MTechs from Tezpur University. And our system engineer, Joel Huck, is also from Tezpur University. He did his MTech from there. And our interns are also the MTech aspirants who are working with us. So for every startup or any business, the first thing which is important is the idea or the problem which they are targeting. After the idea, what comes is the technology or the competency, whether you are able to do that thing. So when you have that thing, like when you have a team or when you have a competent members or you believe you can do that thing, the third thing which comes is resources. Whether you have the resource to to implement your ideas. So finding the problem itself is very important, and a good problem is always helpful. Will give you a good start. So for us, the problem was drowsiness driving. So it is one of the serious issue. It causes a lot of deaths, and the big thing is it cannot be quantitatively analyzed. It cannot be detected. So if there is a road accident, if someone was alcoholic, he was drunk, you can detect. Okay, he having some blood concentration level of alcohol, blood alcohol content. So that might be the case. But for a drowsy driving, we cannot do that. And it is a serious issue. It has caused a lot of deaths worldwide. Not only deaths, even the loss of property. So if we go to the statistic, every year around 1.3 million deaths is caused by road accidents, and 1 out of fatal accidents include a drowsy driver. And this is a tip of the iceberg, because you cannot detect, if there is a fatal accident, you will never know that he died because of the accident was because of a drowsy driver. So that's the difficulty involved in this problem. Secondly, it is a very common problem. If you have gone for a long drive, you might have felt that. The problem is more serious among those who drive for a long time. For example, a Uber driver. I remember once, in Guwahati, in one evening, I was going through a place. I found that my Uber driver was actually he was closing his eyes all the time. And I felt really worried. And I don't blame him, because drowsiness, it happens to every one of us. And there is, if there was something which would have warned the driver that, okay, you have crossed that limit, you should take rest, now it is dangerous for you to drive. So it would be really a helpful thing. So that is what our target was, to build a device which will be able to warn the driver that, okay, you have, your drowsiness level is beyond a safety zone, just take a rest. So this was our idea. So, and like, this is one of the ongoing research work. If you go to the research publications, I would recommend you to go through those. Like, a various approach has been applied. And there are many companies, international companies working on this, but still the problem is not solved. One more challenge comes here is based on where that a particular drowsiness detection algorithm has been implemented. For example, if we take some implementation on like European countries, like where if I am not wrong, the companies like Volvo, they have implemented drowsiness detection based on the lane deviation. How much the driver is, there is a deviation in the lane while driving. So, but those methods cannot be applied like for us, for in our Indian scenarios where we have, those roads don't have lane markings, and plus there are haphazard conditions. So like we thought of like, especially keeping in mind the Indian conditions, we thought that, okay, taking the input from the vehicle might not be helpful for us because various condition of the Indian roads. We thought that instead of taking the vehicle inputs, why not we go for the physiological inputs? So this was our solution, like a non-intrusive drowsiness assessment and warning system based on multimodal analysis of drivers' physiological and behavioral parameters. So the thing which we wanted to do is, we are going to take the physiological parameters of the driver. So physiological parameter per se, the ECG and other vitals. So it has been found that when a person is drowsy, there are certain changes which are observed on these physiological parameters, and also the behavioral parameters. So we are doing this multimodal fusion of these parameters to make the device. So currently, I won't be sharing the results and the simulations which we have obtained. I believe it is beyond the scope of this presentation, but I will go to our journey, how it started, and how we are here today. So like the genesis of this idea and this journey can be traced back to 2017. I was in the second year of my MTech. So one day, Professor Shomik Roy called me in his chamber, and he gave me a brochure of NRL iDEATION 2017. So he said, why don't we apply here? Like I said, okay, sir, we can apply, because at that time we had the proof of concept, and we believe this problem was huge. Why not give it a shot? So we applied, but initially I was not that confident on this, because the reason is there is a difference between an academic project and a startup proposal. So if you look into an academic project, the objective is to do something novel, right? Irrespective whether it is going to make profit or not. And for academic projects, being a part of many academic projects, what I have realized, if you are able to publish 5-6 papers after that project is considered fulfilled. It doesn't matter whether you are making a final product out of it, you are making some profit out of it, or applying that thing which you have learned to practice. But when we come to a startup, the profitability matters. So we have to look whether the product will make profit or not, because we are not here to do a social service. In terms of startup, I'm saying it is there. Social service is also there, but at what cost? You have to make profit. And for that, a thorough market analysis is required. And that's what we were unaware of when we first went for the pitch. And it happened. So when we applied, so in August 2017, we got the invitation that, okay, come for the pitching. So I remember there were around 12 teams who were selected to pitch. And so it was we were very happy, and we did some, not much research, but some research of how to pitch. We were completely unaware of basically the startup scenario. and that was reflected in our presentation also. Like we were more into the academic way of taking the things. So one more thing, I was assuming that the pitching session will be like there will be around 5 people, and just like Shark Tank, if you have seen the Shark Tank US version or like Indian version, like there are 5 people and they will be asking some questions, and I thought okay, maybe similar it will be. And but when I entered that room, I was like a bit a bit shocked, and I like because there were around 15 to 20 people. All the senior management of NRL was there. There were experts like in the from the incubation industry. I remember Saji Gopinath sir was also there. There were some startup founders there. So I was like a bit nervous at that time, and and adding this in-depth market study which we have not done. Like it was the presentation went very bad, and I believe that that was one of my very worst presentation of my life because they caught us. I would say that they they just pointed out our shortcomings of the market analysis. Our presentation was completely the academic. So this I want to suggest to all the entrepreneurs who are planning to apply for this thing. Like a thorough market analysis is must. Plus you have to see all the competitors which you have and what value you can bring compared to your competitors. Because at the end, it is the value which will give you the money. It's not the product or the time which you give. It is what value you are giving to the market. So you should focus there. So after the pitch of 2017, we knew at that moment, probably we might not get selected. So it happened we were not selected, but we learned a lot. We learned a lot of things. Plus, I believe that also motivated us to apply for this again. So the next time, again, we applied in 2018. But this time, I did a thorough research, and everything I believed we have done according to what they wanted. So all the competitors which we have, what is the business plan, 3 years business plan, how we can make the profits, and everything was realistic, like a practical point of view. Here, again, we were we were selected for the final rounds. So we gave our second pitch on August 2018. So the pitch was really great. So they appreciated us, and our project got funded. So that was a dream come true. Because converting your MTech project, the thing which you are doing, to something as an entity, which will give a value, was huge for us. So then we did our incorporation. So again, we had some difficulties while incorporating the company, and I appreciate the help we got from NRL because we were completely, naive about how to, get these things done. So we contacted our CA. We incorporated in 2019. So the thing after that, there was a halt. All the paperworks were going on, and then the COVID struck. So COVID took almost 1 year from us, and it was the project was going on, we were doing those experimentation, but the things to do something on large scale. So until this point, what we were doing was we were doing analysis on the data, the openly access data which we had. So until unless we have a practical data from our own data, it was not possible to move forward. So for that, we required, to carry out experimentation and the funding, and that was which we were eagerly missing. Almost 1 year, we were just stalled. So after that, it was around I believe around November 2020, we got a mail that okay, so there should be a MOU signed between IIT Guwahati TIC, your company, and the NRL. But just 1 day before it was scheduled to be signed. I got a mail that, okay, there is a problem. Since you are a student in IIT Guwahati, you cannot, you have to get an NOC. That is another point I want to bring on, that if you are an employee of a company, a government entity, or if you are a regular student, you cannot start a company legally. For that, a provision has to be provided by the institute you are in. You have to get an NOC. So we were asked to get an NOC from academic department, and this was also first time for IIT Guwahati also, that a student who is currently a student is applying to be a director of a company. So again, it took around 3 months to process everything. They have to, a Senate meeting was done, and a new clauses were made to make this provision that a student can be a director, or like he can start a company. So it has been modified now. A student in IIT Guwahati can do that, and I believe Tezpur University also has this provision. If not, I think it will be a progressive step to add this thing, which will motivate the students. So after this, our NOC was done, so the MOU was signed between IIT Guwahati, TIC, NRL, and us, and our work started. And we got our first phase of funding in 6 July. After that, we hired employees for us, and we also had interns. And here again, I would like to add on, your team, when you are building a startup, your team is very much crucial. They have to add value, because if one of the member is not interested or not giving specific input, the whole structure of the team gets affected. So when you are selecting a team, you should be careful. And I remember I've read somewhere, the first thing for a startup to start is finding a co-founder. That's the most important thing. So if anyone is in the initial stage who is thinking for something, so when you choose your co-founders, choose wisely, and always try to find also someone who is from the commerce section, like who is a CA, or who can carry on these stuffs. Because if you are coming from a technology domain, like if you are a tech student, you are not aware of those things, and those things will take a lot of time. So for us, like the things which could have been done in 1 month took us like 5 to 6 months, just because we were unaware of these things. So it is always good to know things. Okay, so now we are currently working, and we have our own office here in TIC. If anyone of you is interested, you can reach us at IIT Guwahati TIC, room number 5. We have our office, and we have our employee. Currently, they are working work from home because of recent surge in COVID. So I would, So these are some of the pictures of the agreement signing between the TIC and us and NRL. So, and some of the media reports on this event. Okay. So I just want to end with this quote, and I found it really interesting. Is like, the only thing worse than starting something and failing is not starting something. And this is really important. It is always the initial resistance which we get, that initial hurdle. If you pass that thing, everything runs smooth, and it really happened with us also. And I believe all the aspiring entrepreneurs, all the students who are in their final years of BTech, doing BTP or doing MTech, their MTP, if you believe on your idea, and if you believe that it can have some impact in the society and it can generate revenue, take this opportunity given by NRL. It is a beautiful opportunity for you to, to get a kickstart. Okay, with this, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir, for your inspirational and illuminating words. Here, I'd like to let you know that the link to the form has been provided in the chat box, and all the attendees are required to fill it up. Without filling up the form, you will not be getting the certificates. So please fill it up. The expiration time will be 12:30 p.m.
Niharika, I have a quick announcement to make,
Yes, sir, sure.
if I may. Yeah, so let me share my screen. It is the result of the quiz which you have conducted. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir. So we have 25 participants of the quiz, and this is the result scoreboard. Probably we have exclusive merchandise from NRL, which we can share with all 25 participants. So this is a name I'll probably forward to you, and congratulations all the 25 participants for participating in this quiz. And we'll send the merchandise to you, to the coordinator, and you can collect it from there, probably. Yeah, that is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations to all the winners. Now I'd like to open the session for a Q&A round. The audience can unmute themselves and ask their questions and queries.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Sir, we have incorporated a private limited company last year, and we are working on an idea. And sir, what is the time duration to receive the grant from your side?
May I have the question again? Sorry, I couldn't get it.
Okay, like sir, after submitting the application, how long will it take, for the funding or the granting stage?
Okay. So what happens is we have quarterly, we organize the jury round once. We screen as we have mentioned earlier, we've screened the applications quarterly. That means every 3 months we have a selection. So it depends whether you have applied on the early part of the quarter or the later part of the quarter. But in whatever case, it could be as early as 1 month and as late as 3 months tops. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So what is the percentage of equity that the NRL will take in return for the funding?
Okay, right now this is grant, and in grants there is no equity to be taken by NRL. It's pure debt-free, liability-free fund which you will get as a grant. If you are aware, grants don't come with any debt or liability. But yes, you will be given milestones, and those milestones, meaning, for example, let's say your startup has got a grant of 10 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees. So it will be split into some milestones. Let's say we have 4 milestones to cover. Okay. So you will be released, the fund will be released in tranches. If you complete the first milestone, you will be released the first fund. So if you complete the second set of milestone, then you'll receive the funds for the third milestone and so forth.
Okay, sir.
Also, sir, like, is it necessary, like, to have an innovative idea, like, to get the grant, or like, could you, like, can we just improve an existing business or scale up the business, and then we can grant, like, get the grant?
I would answer this question as a business viability. So wherever there is business viability and there is innovation, probably not only on the technologies front, but maybe in the business re-engineering. So for example, a lot of startups in India, you can see, are clones of the ones in Silicon Valley. And that is how it is. We are a third world market. And usually the first world market players or ideas are brought into this country. And that is how it is. It has been so far in mainland India, and probably it will be here as well. But that tolerance we can always keep. The tolerance is maintained. So to answer your question, yes, you can not reinvent the wheel, and you can bring an idea from, but you have to, make it acclimatized, or you can stitch it as per the need of this region. If I may answer that question in that way. But again, yes, your business viability has to be, because what works in the States might not work here. What business model works in Bangalore or Karnataka or in Mumbai may not work in Northeast. So, you have to have a product to market fit. You remember product to market fit. If it does fit, then probably yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, Chetan. I can hear you.
Yeah. Sir, is this funded to the companies or the startup which are setting in Northeast region only, or outside the startup can also participate?
Oh, we have the origins of this program is only to cater to the Northeast region startups that are present in the Northeast. We do not support or currently are not supporting any startups from outside the region.
Thank you, sir.
No. So any more questions? You may want to.
Excuse me, sir. I do have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So what are the proper way to do a market analysis? Can you please tell us a bit about that?
So probably market analysis, it consists of basically three things: your total available market, TAM, then you have SAM and SOM. So TAM is basically your total market size. For example, you're starting, let's say home delivery of groceries, most common e-commerce platform, and you want to estimate a market size. So your first step would be to identify whether the market size is big enough. Of course, amongst others, since you have asked this market study question, so first thing would be to identify how many internet users, because you cannot get direct information for who wants to do a home grocery or not. So that you can identify. Maybe even primary sources or secondary sources if you use, like if you go to the literature for secondary and primary, for if you go for an interview or something, time will not be sufficient and the data will not be efficient. So what you require to do is find out what is the number of internet users in the country or in the region where you want to operate, and what is the number of smartphone users, first of all, and you find the sum. The total available market is the internet users. In serviceable market, you'll find all those are smartphones, and probably your obtainable market, which is a sum, probably would be, the people who are having smartphones, have internet connectivity, and have a day job. So that way you can estimate your market size. And as far as your market study is concerned, it's a bigger umbrella. It consists of a lot of other things also, like demographic study. You have to do PESLE, external conditions. You have to do SWOT analysis, this internal, but mostly PESLE would be viable. So I think I have tried to answer your question, because it's a broad question here which you had asked. So I have tried to reply it in a broad manner.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It definitely helped me.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question. So, what are the steps in starting up a company when it comes to rules and regulations, in terms of rules and regulations?
Okay. So that is a good question, because mostly what we have is this issue. First of all, you can have your business plan. First, you need to have that, and that is between your immediate founders. So then you can, once you have validated that you have a good idea, then you want to go ahead. Then you have a founders agreement, which you have in between. The startups founders should have an agreement between yourself. That's a social contract. Mostly it works that way. It doesn't. It is not put in legal pen, ink, and paper. Then you have to identify startup bylaws. You have to create certain laws, bylaws for your startup. That can be done on pen and paper. Then you have to go and register your firm as a legal entity. It could be sole proprietorship, it could be LLP, limited liability partnership, or it could be private limited company. Mostly it is recommended to register as a private limited company, because it offers you the position to sell equity to investors when they come for investment. Other forms of entity legal registration of firms doesn't offer you that feature or that functionality. Then you have, probably you can go for trademark or patent. Once you register a firm, you can go for PAN, you can go for your GST, post which you can have your non-disclosure agreements with your investors or with your clients. Then, of course, you have to register on Startup India portal or Assam Startup.Govt. They also have a portal. So you can have your Startup India number for your startup, so that you are identified as a startup in this country. Or you can alternatively register for MASI, MASI ID, which is in Assam Startup portal. Then probably you can have your Shareholders Agreement, which you can make it while registering your firm as a private limited company. Then you have Memorandum of Understanding, MOA, Agreement of Understanding, all those incorporated in while registering your firm. Probably after that, you can go for trademark registration of your name, your logo, IP, if you have any IP assignment agreements. So in short, I think this should all work. And yes, once you onboard employees, you should have employees contracts ready for them. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Here it's Mona Lisa Borwa from Business Administration Department.
Hi, Mona Lisa.
I have a question, sir. Does NRL invest only in the technical background startups or in any innovative business idea? And as we all know that market survey is very important before starting a business. And so some mentors suggest to go for some sample business or launching some samples in the market before starting the
Sorry, I lost you for a while. I couldn't clearly hear the audio. Could you repeat your question again?
So am I audible now?
Yeah, you're.
Yes, sir. So my question was like, does NRL invest only in the technical background startups or in any innovative business idea?
Okay.
Or like, so some mentors suggest to go for some sample business, like launching some sample products in the market before starting the actual manufacturing. So what do you suggest? Should we go for it, or will it add any value, or can we just it can manage the risk for the startup?
See, second point which you have put up, it makes a lot of sense. I will come to it later, but let me answer the first question, which is more relevant. There is a recent report by Asian Development Bank about the startup ecosystem that was launched by the current government. So there, what we have found is there is a skew or there is a bias towards technology intervention or IT. So most startups which we mean in India are basically technology-based startups. Ola, Flipkart, Zomato, everything you name it. It's any unicorn you name it. It is a computer science related startup. But there is a very grave, concern that we are losing out on other important aspects of society, like healthcare or like water. Or so there's a need for non-technology based innovations also. So that is why the short answer to this would be yes, you can come up with a non-technology also. Non-technology means non-IT, information technology startup as well, as we have funded a lot of startups which are into manufacturing of tea in an innovative way, or even organic seeds. Okay, so that way we are open for non-IT startups as well, if that answers your question. Secondly, prototyping is always safe, and it's in the best interest of, answering your second question. So if you go for a full-blown startup with, raising capital and initially without product to market fit testing, if you go in the market, you may find, so there's 50-50 chance and that customers may accept your product or customers may not accept your products. But and that will be a huge risk for the time and effort and money that you have invested on that scale if you start with. But on the other hand, if you start with a pilot or a prototype and you create a miniature version or a minimum viable product, MVP, for your idea, and try to sell it to a select group of customers, early birds or early adopters, and you can collect data, what percentage of people, because you'll always get feedbacks from your customers, because whatever you thought, if this product will be good in this way, might not be exactly that. Customers might want a few addition or deletion or modification of your product, and that feedback you can incorporate in your final product launch. So that way, when you learn and relearn from the customer, it's a cycle, and then you come up with the final product which is more polished, and what market you have to go. So I think it is always better to have a prototype and do a market test rather than a full-blown scale-up, because it is risky. That is all I would like to say.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. There is a question asked by Rajdev Datta. Praise Phil. I'm not sure what the exact name is. The person has asked the question that how to get an NOC from the institute.
NOC, no objection certificate, from which institute? If anybody can elaborate this question.
I think I would like to come in. If Mr. Abhijit, actually, I'd like to join in putting the question. Actually, I think this question may be because Professor has already mentioned that actually being a student and to get involved in startup, there may be some restrictions as far as academic front is concerned. So I think, assuming that that is the gist of this question, so I am saying that actually now at Tezpur University, we are creating provisions. Like recently, this Ministry of Education, they have developed one policy called National Policy for Students and Faculty, whereby actually their windows are created that students, even while studying, also can get involved into a startup in the form of even a director. Okay, so now there are some provisions that is created that is means within it that there will have to be a procedure that this department and means the whole channel, means like that academic requirement, whoever is looking after that will have to recommend it, and then actually this for Tezpur University means this CII we will be taking lead so that it gets materialized. So anybody from our student community, if they are interested, so we are going to facilitate them. We'll be helping it out. Yeah. Of course, that will be. I am hopeful that even for other institutes also, there's such provisions are there already. Okay, thank you for the question.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question that has been asked by one of the students who has joined from the YouTube channel. What, according to you, is a proper team size, and like the number of members that should be there in a team?
Okay. So that depends actually. There is no right answer to that. But if you see from a legal standpoint, if you're registering as a private limited company, so you have to have minimum of 2 directors. So you can have a minimum limit if you are considering to start your venture as 2, minimum 2 from legal standpoint, and the upper limit there's none. You can have a 10 group, founder, or you can have 20. But what happens is the social contract, which is very important at the beginning of your firm, because eventually, if the more number of heads, the more number of ideas and more number of directions. So it's more important. So I would like to answer in that way: how many people you trust. So as many trusted person you can have, and trust by mean it has to suffer. It has to go all along the way, because there might be a lot of trouble in the journey. As most startups have fallouts, like the founders leave, or there's a miscommunication, and there is a difference in the opinion in which direction the startup or the company should move. So by that, minimum number is 2, and I would suggest on basis on the value which the founders bring. For example, a CTO, a technology guy, a developer can be one who brings the technology side. One would be the business side, who has the business acumen or the management leadership, or he knows the management aspects. Third would be probably the finance guy. Fourth would be the legal guy. Or if that is in a pure development company, there could be a front-end developer, back-end developer, mid-developer, or 4. So 2 to 5 is the good size, but there's not any, there's no authority on this. There's no literature to back up these numbers.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I've got another question. So if the priorities of the companies that you have invested in changes over time, how would NRL as an investor look forward to it?
Okay. That is a good question, because usually in startup world there are pivots. There are instances where a company started out to do something, and eventually it ended up doing something. But from NRL's point of view, as of now, we are giving only grant for the particular activity and set of milestones. So those milestones, unless and until they're fulfilling those milestones and they have done what they have decided, that they have agreed to. So after that, if they want to pivot for business justification or for the business continuity, so that the business can survive or thrive, we are generally good with that. Yeah. I hope I had answered the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I think we can close the Q&A round here. Thank you everyone for interacting. Now I'd like to ask Anvesha Bhattacharya to deliver the vote of thanks.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Anvesha, you are.
So, good afternoon to one and all present here. This is Anvesha Bhattacharya, the coordinator of IIC Tezpur University. First and foremost, I would like to thank NRL for taking the initiative and organizing this virtual bootcamp in association with IICTU and Head CIIE. We thank you for coming up with this initiative of NRL iDEATION. I would like to thank respected Shri Prantapratim Sinha, Shri Abhijit Pegu, and Parvez Salman Chaudhary for taking out time from your busy schedule and inspiring us with your golden words. I would like to thank our Tezpur University administration for allowing us for organizing this event. We extend our thanks to Manoj Hazarika sir and Prayash Barwa sir for giving us the guidance and helping us in every possible way. I would like to thank the whole team of IIC, without whose support this event would not have been possible. I would also like to thank Niharika Dev Chaudhary, the host of today's event, for conducting this event as smoothly as possible. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the attendees without whom this event would not have been possible. Thank you. And again, I would like to request anyone who has missed out to fill up the form. You are requested to fill up the form because without that, you will not be getting these certificates. Thank you.
Okay, let me join thanking the team from NRL actually for having such a beautiful event. Our Pranto sir and Mr. Abhijit and our also actually we are thankful that actually Somik Roy sir has joined the course actually, and also and he is one of the let us say prior to me, he has been the head CII, and actually he has initiated taken many initiatives, and we are just giving a fruit to it. Let us say we are trying to do it, and also he has shown a path that actually how our faculty and students can go forward with this such initiatives, and we are very much thankful to all our participants. Thank you. I think. Prayas, I think we can now drop off.
Yes, thank you so much, Manoj Kumar Hazarika sir. Thank you so much, Somik Roy sir. Thank you so much, Pranto sir. And all
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prayas.
Yeah, thank you everyone for participating.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Hazarika sir. Thank you.
And special thanks to Niharika, who has coordinated.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, sir.